Hey, it's Mr. G, and we're back with another request, this time from Philippe, that says C# program that downloads a file from a server. So I must admit that I don't think I've ever written C# code, so this should be very interesting, but we're going to try anyway. And I remember hearing about C# when I was in high school, and I took a C++ class, and my teacher was talking about how C# had just come out and Microsoft was trying to create a language that competed with Java or something. So we're going to try this, try our best here. So I'm going to create a REPL and type in C#, and I'm not sure which one I should pick, but I'm going to choose the C# one, and hopefully that's the right one. So let's create that, and what I'm going to want to do is so we want to download a file from a server. I think the easiest thing to do is to find a server that has like a PDF that we can download. And when we run our program, I want that PDF to show up here in the files, in the directory that we're in, that our code is in. So I have to figure out a way to connect to the internet, reach a certain endpoint on a server, and then download what's there on that server. So I have no idea if we're going to succeed, but we are going to try our best here. And so that means that I need to find a PDF or some sort of URL that I can download a PDF from. So let me go to Google, and because I was a living environment teacher for a few years, I'm going to type in living environment PDF curriculum. So I know that New York has a curriculum PDF, and this is it. I do have the URL that I could then copy. I just copied it off screen, and I'm going to paste it right here so you could see this is where we're going to want to download that file from. So hopefully that meets or that accomplishes the goal that we have. So C# looks very similar to Java from what I remember, and I haven't written any Java in years. So I think so. We're gonna try our best here. So we have to figure out a way to connect to an API or some sort of server given the URL. So let me actually go into ChatGPT, which we're going to make heavy use of because I really have no idea. Like I definitely cannot write this, without any help because I don't know. I don't even know how to write how the C# syntax works really. So what we're going to do is go to ChatGPT and ask it, how can I access a URL using C#? Okay, utilize the HTTP client class from systemnet HTTP namespace. Okay, here's an example of how you can retrieve the content of a URL. Okay, so we already have system being loaded, it looks like, but we now have to bring in the HTTP module. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring that in, and already we're getting some sort of warning. Unnecessary using directive. Okay, well, maybe that shouldn't be a problem, even if it's unnecessary. And let me bring in the other one, the threading tasks. Okay, so we have our class program, we have our task main. So our main function, if you watched my C video, it's going to be probably very similar. Ours looks a little bit different than, so over here we have public static void main. I don't think we need any arguments, but maybe we should just leave this in there. Okay, so here we're creating an instance of HTTP client. So I think what we're doing is we're instantiating this HTTP class. So we're creating an instance of it by running this HTTP client code. And I actually don't know if Replit is going to be able to do this, but we're gonna try this. So we're gonna bring this in here. Let's see, what's next? Specify the URL you want to access. So here is how you declare the string, and this is where we're going to bring in our URL. So let me just copy paste it in here, and that is what we want. Why am I getting it? Why is it saying something? Variable URL is assigned, but its value is never used. Okay, that's okay. That just means that we declared a variable, but we just never used it anywhere. So we didn't like console.log it or do anything like that. Actually, just to test this out, I should be able to write out URL. So this should work if I just run this. Let's test this out. And all it should do is spit back the URL that I have here, this string. So in C#, I guess this is how we declare a string, by just writing string and then naming the variable. So let me just run this and see what happens. .NET run. All right, yeah, it's good that I'm trying it now, because otherwise I could be here for, a long time, and then at the end I hit run and nothing works. But it looks like our link does work. Our URL does work. This is a string, so it's just text, and it correctly spit it out with console.writeLine. So that is the equivalent of console.log in JavaScript, or printf in C, I'm assuming. Okay, so here we have a try catch. This I am used to seeing. This is something we also do have in JavaScript. And I'm going to write it out myself. Instead of just copy pasting that entire thing, I actually want to try to figure out if I can understand how this works. So the try catch, the catch does have some sort of error or exception handling here, exception X. So what will happen is that C# is going to do whatever's in this try clause within the braces, and if it fails, if something goes wrong, then it's gonna spill over and go into the catch. And whatever causes the error is going to be handled by, this catch area, and then maybe I could like console.writeLine the exception or whatever went wrong, the error that caused the issue. So what this is doing, okay, so what we have here is sending a GET request to the specified URL. So that is what we want to do. So we want to send a GET request to that URL and hopefully receive the PDF back. And that's our goal here. So HTTP response message, and wow, this is kind of working. It's nice actually. Equals await. So they have async await, it looks like. I mean, sorry, I'm thinking in terms of JavaScript, but it looks like they have the same kind of structure here in C#. Client.getAsync. Yeah, in JavaScript, we call this async await. We say that this function is asynchronous, and then we could use the await keyword. But it looks like here you could just use the getAsync method on the client object or class, and then just put in the URL and it should work. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of stuff that await operator can only be used within an async method. Okay, that's just like JavaScript. Consider marking this method with the async modifier and changing its return type to task. Okay, so I think I must have done something wrong. Is there somewhere I missed? Oh, that's why. So look at the function. You could see that static async task main. So just like in JavaScript, we do have to, and it's probably JavaScript that took this from C#, if I had to guess. We have the async keyword that we need to add to our main function here. So I'm going to just basically remove what we don't, or let me see if I can just add it to, well, the thing is this shouldn't be void. I think we want to return something, I think. So let me see if I could just, instead of void, I'll just have static async task main. Let's try to call it that, task main, and let's just remove any parameters or arguments. Okay, and maybe we'll just remove public. So we're gonna have it just like ChatGPT is recommending here. And I'm not entirely sure how public works here. Maybe what it does is it allows people to access classes or objects or things that are inside here. And if I don't have that public, then maybe we can't from outside of it. But I'm not entirely sure, and I should just be quiet because I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I don't like having spaces after the function name, so I'm just going to remove those spaces. And okay, let us continue from where we were, because now that error went away, or that warning, so we can now use async and await. So in JavaScript, the way that it works is the program will kind of like pause right here. And until this gets resolved, it won't continue on to the next line. And what's the next line here? We have a conditional. So we check to see if the request was successful. So we're going to use an if else, it looks like. So if response dot is success status code. Ooh, that's nice that they already have that built in. So if that is the case, then what we do is we declare, it looks like we're declaring a new variable here, string content equals await response.content.read read as string async. Read as string async. We might have to change that in a little bit because maybe this might think that we're just receiving some sort of string, but we want a file. So that might have to be, we might have to change that in order to be able to accept a file instead of just like a string. Okay, so let's see, what's next? Yeah, output the content. So I think what it's doing actually is it's expecting to get a string. So we're gonna have to change that or fix that. But before we do, I wanna make sure I have the else clause in the code in here. So if something goes wrong, we do want a console.writeLine, and then what we're gonna say is something went wrong. Although here it says content. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so over here, request was not successful, status code, and then the status code. Actually, that's probably a better way to do things. Something went wrong. Let me type that in. Status code, and then what we can do is we can concatenate, so we can add to the end of this the response.status code. Okay, let me end that line with a semicolon. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Actually, that should be good. That's even better. Now I could like look at this, and then when we actually do run it and see if it works, we could see if the file ended up there, the PDF, because that is what I'm trying to download. Same thing down here. So if something fails here, if the await fails, or sorry, if the content fails to be declared or something goes wrong, actually, yeah, that's the problem. It's going to expect a string from the server, and that's not what we want. We're expecting a PDF, not just some text. So we'll have to fix that in a little bit. But in the catch, same idea. So if something goes wrong, we're just going to say that something went wrong with console.writeLine and say an error occurred. And then we could also concatenate the message at the end. So that's very much like JavaScript there. Just console.writeLine instead of console.log. And then the last thing is we have to dispose the HTTP client instance when done. Okay, so we'll add that here at the end. So when we're done, I think that's the right place. Okay, there we go. I clicked Command S and saved, and it auto formatted the code. So that's good. So let's see what else it says here. The HTTP sends a GET request to the specified URL. If the request is successful, which is something in the 200 range, the response is read. Okay. So, okay, so what I want to do is tell ChatGPT that I don't expect a string response. I expect a PDF. I'm not expecting a string response from the server. I'm expecting a PDF file. Okay. If you're expecting a PDF file in the response instead of a string, you can modify the code to download the file and save it locally. That's exactly what I want. So here is the updated example. So let me bring in some of these things that I need. So I'm going to need IO, system.io, input output. The .NET is fine. Why is this saying something? Unnecessary use of using directive. Oh, I think it was saying unnecessary before because I didn't have any code that was using HTTP. But once I wrote HTTP client, so once I created this variable of the file of the type HTTP client, that's when it had to use the something that was in there, some of the code or methods or something in there. Okay, so let's see how they modified it. So we have the URL. Okay, we have get async. Response, is that different? Do we have that? Get async URL. No, that's not different. Okay, here we go. The contents of the file content as a stream. So stream is this type of that we're going to need to declare. So in the if clause, instead of content being await, oh, actually I just noticed that the auto formatter made sure that my brackets or my braces were they're on new lines. Actually, this reminds me of C++. Actually, when I back in the day when we used to write that, instead of having the braces on the same line, they're actually on separate lines. And for some coders, it makes it easier to be able to find the end of a section of a block by having it on its own line. So this is actually how I used to code back in when I was like 15. Not that I remember much from then. Okay, so let's instead of reading the content as a string, because it's not going to be a string, we have to replace it with a stream. Content stream equals await response dot content dot read. What is it? Read as stream async. So read as string async. So what that's probably doing is actually if I no, it doesn't say anything there. So what we're doing here, just to kind of like explain a little bit, is that we have this response message class or object. I'm not entirely sure what to call it, because in JavaScript I would just say this is an object, but I'm not entirely sure how this is treated in C#. I could actually ask ChatGPT, maybe I'll do that. But in JavaScript, this would be an object that has this content method or property that has, sorry, this is definitely maybe another object that has this read as a string async method. And this is definitely a method or a function because we're calling it with the open and closing parentheses. Okay, so once we do that, then we want to save the file in our directory. So string file path. Oh geez, I'm not 100% sure how we're going to do this in Replit. So just as files, maybe we create a new folder and just say, just call this the PDF. We'll just call it the PDF. That's going to be the name of the folder. And by the end of this, if this works, there should be a PDF in the PDF directory. So we're going to say string file path equals, and I also don't know if this is going to work, but we're just going to say the PDF, and that's going to be the folder that we're trying to get into here or save our stuff in. Okay. Actually, I could just probably say the PDF, and that should be the directory. Hopefully that works. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. And so in order to save it, okay, here is the code to actually save it. So using file stream, okay, equals new file stream. And then the path, the file path, is the first argument. The second argument is file mode.create. And the third is file access.write. So here I'm pretty much flying blind because I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I have like a rough idea, but I'm not entirely sure how this is exactly working here. And so this is going to asynchronously save our file, content stream dot copy to async. And this might not work because we're using Replit, but we're going to try our best and we'll see. So let me hit save. So there we go. That is good. And then after that, okay, so after this runs, we are going to, if we're successful, we're going to console.writeLine and say PDF was saved successfully. Okay, so this will, if something goes wrong here, if something goes wrong when it's trying to save or when, actually, why is there a warning here? Cannot implicitly convert type string to system IO stream. Did I do that wrong? And what's wrong here? Oh, I forgot to put a semicolon at the end of that line. So now that's fixed. Okay, but why is this causing an error? Oh, I keep forgetting to use semicolons because sometimes in JavaScript it doesn't really matter, but it looks like C# is very, very picky about that. So I have to make sure not to miss any, but I'll see the errors here. But this one, I want to fix. I need to fix, otherwise it won't run. Cannot implicitly convert type string to system.io stream. Type string. Okay, so did I type that in wrong? Response content read as stream. Oh, that's why, because it's read as stream async, not. And let me just make sure I spelled that right. Okay, so that should be good. Okay, so if this is all successful, if we're successful up until this point, then the next line will be PDF was saved successfully. If at any point here something goes wrong, it's gonna skip over to either this else clause, or depending on where it actually has an error, or it's gonna go into the catch and then we're gonna see the message. Okay, else request is not successful. So this if, where does it end? Ends right here. Okay, and there's the else, something went wrong, status code. Okay. Okay, so that I think should work. I mean, we're gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. And then we'll just try debugging. So let me run this, and the goal is to see a PDF file inside of this directory when we run this. So the moment of truth, it's running, and we'll see if that works. Hey, it's Mr. G from the future. I basically spend the next 30 minutes or so trying to debug and try different things. So if you want, you can just skip forward to this timestamp where I end up with a solution that Ghostwriter comes up with. But I've gone back since, and the mistake was so small. All I needed to do was actually put the file name and put the / in the front like this, and it would have worked. So I spent the next 30 minutes or so going crazy, but that was all I needed, and this code would have worked. The answer was right there all along, but it just took me some time to figure it out. But if you want, you could skip forward, or you could just end the video right here, or you could watch me suffer for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So I'll leave it up to you. Goodbye. Error occurred. Access to the path is denied. Okay, so, and actually this is the exact error that I wanted to see. This is what I wrote. An error occurred, and I wrote that right here. So it happened here, or something happened in probably one of these these await lines. Access to the path is denied. Trusting, heartfelt, firm. The PDF. Why would it? Let me actually see if I can I ask ChatGPT, how would I save the file in a Replit? It might be possible that Replit won't let me save a file in the directory, because maybe people could abuse that pretty easily. I'm not sure if that's the case, but let me see if in a Replit direct or project, how would I save the file in a Replit project? What would I use for the URL path, or the path? What's it called? The file path. Let's see if GPT helps me here. You can save the file within the project's file system. Replit provides a default file system location where you can save files. path/to/save file. I mean, maybe we just, let me see if this works. So the file path, oh, maybe that's what we need to do. But maybe it's going to create all of these directories. It's going to create a path and then a to folder and then a save folder and then put the file in there. Let me just name it PDF, and then we'll name the file file.pdf or living.pdf. Maybe this would work. Let me get rid of the directory that I created. We're going to delete that folder, and let's try running our code again and see if that actually works. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not expecting it to work because some of these things are difficult. Okay, could not find a part of the path. A part of the path. I don't want to start guessing all over the place. Actually, doesn't Replit have a Ghostwriter thing? Oh, here we go. The tools, Ghostwriter. So this is like the ChatGPT version of like an AI assistant. So let me try using it. I've never used this before, so let's see how it works. How can I save a file in a file that I download from a server? Let me be more specific. A PDF file that I downloaded from a server in my project directory. What should the URL or the file path be? Let's see if this is able to figure it out. The PDF is being saved in the, by default, your Replit root project. The Replit project directory is the root directory. However, in your given code, the file is being saved in a specific directory called PDF. If this directory does not exist in your project folder, you need to create it first. Okay, so maybe that's the issue, that I don't have the PDF directories. Okay, so let me create the folder. So how do I create a folder? New folder, let's call it PDF, and let's try running it. So we'll see if that works. Okay, I'm gonna hit run. And an error occurred, could not find a part of the path. PDF living.pdf. Let's see what else Ghostwriter said. Oh, maybe we just don't name we don't have it as file, as living.pdf. We just say that the folder is PDF. That's what it says right here. So maybe that's what I can try. So let me try that. Let me run that. Access to path PDF is denied. Okay. So that's an issue. Why is that happening? So let me ask Ghostwriter. Or let me try this first. /living.pdf /living.pdf. I'm going to try this one last time. And this, I think, should just put it in the main directory. I think this CPU is like blowing up over here on the bottom left. Read-only file system. Okay, so maybe I can't. We'll try, we'll just try the root directory. Just / let's see if this works. We'll see. Access to path is denied. Let me ask Ghostwriter. Access, I'm getting a access to path denied error. The access to path denied error means that the application doesn't have the required permissions. To solve this issue, you can try running the application as an administrator. Okay, so that is not very helpful. But let me Let me bring this over to ChatGPT and see what it says. Try to save in the project directory. You might encounter restrictions. Replit provides a designated directory called storage where you can save files persistently. Okay, so we could try that. Let me delete this PDF directory folder that I created, and let me try changing this to storage. Let me just try storage by itself and see if it's able to save the file in there, or if we get a different type of error. Read-only file system storage. Okay, so let me copy paste that and just put it here for ChatGPT to figure out. Okay, no, I don't want to create some sort of Amazon S3 bucket to save this PDF. I'm going to do some research off screen or outside of this video and see if I can figure this out. But I'll keep recording and I'll just like zoom through it and see if I can find anything helpful. Okay, so I mean, it took me a while, but I ended up just asking Ghostwriter to write me, this is what I asked it for, write a C# project that downloads a PDF from a remote server, and I gave it the URL and saves a PDF in a local project directory. So I came up with this. It looks like it's using some sort of deprecated or old class or something here. But what it's doing is it actually has the local file path. So in this directory, and then it's saving the file as this, with this file name. So I'm not 100% sure. And actually it's funny because this is recommending that I use HTTP client instead. So Ghostwriter is giving me kind of like old advice. But it worked. It looks like the living environment or livingenv.pdf was saved. So when we click on it, we are able to see the PDF in here. Okay, so just before I kind of like gave up and asked Ghostwriter to write it for me, I tried to change the folder permissions and I wasn't able to do that. As you can see here on the right, yeah, that just didn't work. I thought maybe that was the issue. I hit a maximum for the CPU, and then it was asking me to pay for Replit. So I must have used too many resources. But I hope this answers your question, Philippe, because it was a very interesting problem, and it was nice to see how C# does some of these asynchronous things that I'm actually used to doing in JavaScript. So I hope this answers your question, and I hope you found this insightful, and good luck.